Hello and welcome to IFFI News. We bring to you the latest happenings at the Film Fest. But first, let's have a look at the day's headlines. Violence does not solve any problem, says Serbian film director Bojan. Process of film doesn't end with getting censor certificate, says Lakshmikant.
Process of filmmaking does not end when the film gets a censor certificate or film gets an award.
India is the kaleidoscope of multiple beliefs with vast potential for films. Now the top happenings at IFFI on Thursday. Bojan Vukosovic, director of Serbian film The Whirlpool, said that Indian films are liked by Serbian people for their artistic appeal. During a media interaction, meet the director at the 44th IFFI on Panji on Thursday. He said his film gives the message that through violence you will never get anything good.
The movie Whirlpool is about young people during the 90s at the Belgrade. The Belgrade was not in the war directly, but it was on the shadow of the war during the almost whole decade of 90s, and all the crash of the society of the Yugoslavia, which was one of the prosperous countries of the communist bloc during the Cold War, etc. When Yugoslavia fall apart, it was a very a bad situation for all the republics, because from Yugoslavia, like 6 countries stood up after the war, and Serbia was the longest in almost all the conflicts. And this film was about difficult situation that the youth had during that period. No, it is not a commercial film. It's more artistic or author film, how to say it. But I was working with genre because every story is a little bit different genre. First story is called The Roots of Hatred, and it's about skinhead group in Serbia, which are in 19s there were some groups like that, not anymore, and it's like social drama. Then that first part. The second part is a thriller, creamy drama with a little bit fantastic elements, and the third part is a drama, war, and fantasy, even more fantasy in the third part. So during the movie, like the Whirlpool is more and more fantasy to the culmination where the fantasy is almost the main thing. And it's not fantasy like a fairy tale, it's like a drama fantasy. So every segment is a little bit different genre, and through that genres I wanted to say that the genre is not so important as the message that the film should have. You know, I think they like it a lot. I can I don't know, say one film, because I don't know which is the most well received, but I know in general they like it a lot. But in movies, I don't, in the theaters, I can't remember the last Indian movie. It's a shame, but they're almost all Hollywood blockbusters, so it's decline in artistic cinema. That was I was talking about. I'm first time in India, and I'm for 2 days, and I'm really overjoyed to be here. And it will be, I don't know, it will be a good idea to do something like that, I think.
Open forum at the IFFI on Thursday discussed on Konkani cinema, building distribution channels, developing markets. Leading Konkani writer Damodar Mauzo opined that language is never a barrier for producing cinema. Goan director Dhyanesh Muge expressed his displeasure for stopping Short Film Centre at the IFFI. Director Lakshmikant Shetgaonkar said that the process of film doesn't end with getting censor certificate or an award.
One thing I believe is, cinema has no language. Language is not a barrier. When I see your Eka Sagar Kinari or your Pultorto Manis, what I see is the culture that is depicted in the films. So language is not a barrier.
Various filmmakers were making their film just to show in that platform. And they were deprived of that facility also. So this is the case of our interest in the films. And now I could see only filmmakers and producers are showing some interest to make the film. But with our kind of population, see, if we spend around average 70 to 75 lakhs on each production, then we need to have at least 2 lakhs people watching film, which is very difficult, practically which is very difficult. So we, as you said, we need to, so we also, of course, we need local people to watch films, but then just Goa is not enough area to recover the money. So we need to find different avenues, different opportunities to sell and show our films at different places.
So the process of filmmaking does not end when the film gets a censor certificate or film gets an award. It is a continuing process wherein you have to show the film to people. So we have to develop some strategy to show our films across Goa.
There are a lot of other filmmakers in Goa who've attempted films, they've spent money on it. If not, they are somebody else's, but money has been spent. How do they recover their money?
Right now, we have around 8 Konkani films. What happens to those films? This question is going to come in their minds. What are we going to do now? And where are we going to show the film? So that's what I'm saying. The basic aspect is we should make films to show it to people. Not to because I wanted to make a film, I got some funds from the government and I made the film. Most of us will also get some funds from the government. But the basic idea of filmmaking is to communicate to people. And so we need to show it to people. I think all filmmakers who have made films in Goa, they need to be in touch with the government agencies and ensure that those films are seen by people. See, the thing is, we have to create audience. We already have directors, we already have writers, we have fantastic cast. But what we don't have is audience. So when we have to create an audience, then I think automatically we don't have to go to the government. We will not be dependent on any other marketing agency. Our films will run in our own theatres. So we have to ensure that all our films are seen.
It's time for a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In an interaction with media in the 44th IFFI, director of film Manakamana, Pasho Veles said that India is a very colourful country with a multiple belief system, hence has a lot of stories to be told through films. Manakamana film focuses on the amangalam of the sacred and the profane in the everyday life. In the same interaction, Mika Matila, director of Chinese film Chimra, said that his film reflects on important questions of China's modernization.
And my film is called Manakamana. It's a film about pilgrims making an ancient journey by a very modern means, a cable car, to the sacred temple of the goddess Manakamana in Nepal. The film is entirely shot on the cable car with pilgrims as they make the journey. It looks at questions of spirituality and the effect of technological development on spiritual experience.
Especially with contemporary art, the main question or the main issue that interests me is that contemporary art has no
relationship with Chinese, traditional Chinese art history whatsoever. It is as much brought into the country as Coca-Cola is brought into the country. The film starts what it seems like to be about success, wealth, and a kind of top layer of the art world. And then it goes deeper in underneath that, and what I find there is this constant conversation: what is it to be modern Chinese? Is it, and where should we get our guidelines for the future? Is modernization just copying West, or can we find some other more genuinely Chinese way of doing that? And these two are both dealing with that question in their own ways.
Lakshman Utekar, director of Marathi film Tapal, said that his film moves around an incident in the life of a postman serving a small rural community. He said that in this age of digital revolution, we all have become slaves of instruments and lost a connecting bridge, the postman. In the same interaction with media at the IFFI, Mr. Ram, director-actor of Tamil film Thangameenagal, said that the feature films made by upcoming directors which have a good plot should be given due platform for screening.
Basically, Tapal is a pure and sincere impression of emotional relationship and human values. Later it's just a backdrop, but it's a story. It's a pure story of love, emotion, and human values. Yeah.
துளி கூட்டுகிறாய் இரு நெஞ்சம் இணைந்து பேசிட உலகில் பாஷைகள் எதுவும் தேவையில்லை சிறு புல்லில் உறங்கும் பனியில் தெரியும் மலையின் அழகோ தாங்கவில்லை.
The Tamil industry is losing their market. I have to compete with the Bollywood, Hollywood, Tollywood, then what do you say, big stars, then last. So if it goes on, then what will happen? How the Hindi film industry have spoiled a lot of small. As a nation, we should have movies from different cultures. So you should present the market for different culture. So it's also an effect of a globalization. And I also strongly feel the multiplex is not allowing good movies. Multiplex is a kind of it's giving a hurdle to the filmmakers, who's independent filmmakers who make small movies, or different movies, or they make a movie from the light.
Well, the challenging part was like, if you actually watch the movie, you can feel that it's just a family situation. We are very lower, there's no salary for my husband, and we live in a very upper middle class family. So if you have not a nuclear family, if you have other kind of your parents, your sister, everyone is in a very high position, and your husband is in a very lower position, always there is a discrimination over, which goes on. So I was actually having that kind of a pressure, plus my kid was a bit, she was not up to the mark for everyone.